London's unsolved haunted places, still alive from prisons and haunted hotels to churches and hidden tunnels, we uncover eerie mysteries that refuse to rest, still haunting the city today. The Clink Prison. On the south bank of the Thames, beneath the shadow of Southwark Cathedral, lies the site of one of London's most notorious prisons. The Clink, a name so feared it entered everyday language as a word for jail, held generations of the condemned. Its walls were thick, its cells cold, and its reputation brutal. Yet long after the prison closed, its presence lingers, as if the suffering of centuries never quite faded. Visitors to the Clink Museum today step into reconstructed cells, hearing the tales of debtors, heretics, and petty criminals who once crowded its chambers. But many leave with stories of their own accounts of ghostly encounters that history books cannot explain. The echo of footsteps resounds along the corridors even when the building is still. Doors slam violently, though no hand is near the latch. And in the lowest cells, a weight of sorrow seems to hang in the very air. One apparition has been reported more often than any other, a woman, her face pale, her hands fumbling endlessly with invisible chains. Some believe she was a prisoner who perished in captivity, condemned not for crime, but for faith. Others think she represents the countless women jailed here for poverty or defiance, their lives erased by the harshness of the age. Whatever her identity, she is said to move in silence, her hands tugging at shackles only she can feel. Staff have spoken of sudden drops in temperature, the air turning icy in moments. Tourists on guided tours whisper of shadows sliding across the walls. One visitor pausing in a cell to take a photograph later discovered in the image the blurred outline of a woman kneeling, her wrists pulled forward as though bound. There had been no one in the room at the time. What unsettles many is not simply the sightings, but the sense that the anguish of the prisoners endures. The Clink was a place of despair, where cries for mercy went unheard. To this day, the atmosphere is heavy, as though the spirits of guards and captives alike are unwilling to leave. Some claim the woman with the chains remains to remind us of injustices that cannot be forgotten. Others suggest she is only one of many, a fragment of a much larger haunting still alive in the heart of Southwark. St. Dunstan's Church. On a quiet lane in East Acton stands St. Dunstan's Church, a modest building of stone and timber centuries old. By day, it seems peaceful, another parish church in the sprawl of London. Yet after dark, this place is said to awaken with a mystery that has puzzled locals for generations. For here, it is told the dead walk in solemn procession. Phantom monks, sometimes a dozen or more, appear in the nave and aisle, moving slowly as though bound by ancient ritual. Witnesses describe them as robed figures, faces obscured, their heads bowed in prayer, and always faint music accompanies them, notes without source echoing like chants rising from nowhere. What makes this haunting all the more strange is its rhythm. According to accounts, the monks appear not constantly nor randomly, but with eerie regularity once every 4 years. Like the return of a cycle, their silent pilgrimage renews itself, reminding parishioners that something here is far from ordinary. Why 4 years? No historian has found a reason. No record of anniversaries or rituals explains it. The pattern remains unsolved. Some suggest the monks were tied to the land before the church itself was built, remnants of a monastic order, lost to time. Others believe they are guardians returning at intervals to mark some unspoken vow. One story tells of a villager entering the church on the night of their appearance. He froze as the line of monks filed past him, their forms translucent, the air vibrating with soundless chanting. They ignored him, completely passing through the door and vanishing into the night. The experience left him shaken, but convinced of its reality. To this day, locals mark the years wondering if the monks will show again. Many say the air grows heavy in the church before their coming, the scent of old incense lingering, though no censer burns. St. Dunstan's is a place of worship, of community and prayer. Yet it also stands as a reminder that not all processions end with life. Every fourth year, the aisle may once again fill with ghostly forms, moving in perfect order, carried by music no living ear can explain. The Lamb and Flag. On Rose Street in Covent Garden stands the Lamb and Flag, a public house with centuries of history soaked into its beams. To the casual passerby, it is a cozy London pub. But beneath its warmth lies a reputation for violence, echoing from a darker age when this was no place of comfort. In the 19th century, the Lamb and Flag was infamous for bare-knuckle boxing and vicious brawls. Men gathered here to drink, to wager, and to fight until blood stained the floors. The crowds roared approval as fists struck flesh, and not all who entered left unharmed. Some say the violence of those years never truly drained from the walls, and the spirits of the past still haunt the building. Reports of apparitions are tied especially to the upper rooms and stairwells. Patrons have spoken of shadowy figures slipping past, vanishing before their eyes. Doors slam without cause, glasses rattle on shelves, though no one passes. At times, the sound of cheering and shouting drifts through empty rooms as if a ghostly crowd still urges fighters on. One barman locking up late claimed he heard the unmistakable sounds of a scuffle upstairs. Chairs scraped feet, shuffled blows landed. Rushing up, he found the room deserted, yet the air was thick with the smell of sweat and smoke. He left the doors bolted and refused to check again alone. Others tell of cold spots forming in the bar, sudden drops in temperature, as if unseen bodies crowd the space. A visitor once reported seeing two men grappling violently in a corner, only for them to dissolve into shadow when approached. The Lamb and Flag has long since abandoned its reputation as the bucket of blood, as it was once grimly known. Today it welcomes theatre-goers and tourists serving ale beneath beams that have stood for centuries. Yet some nights when the lights are low and the street outside grows quiet, echoes of its brutal past rise again. The laughter, the shouts, the pounding fists, sounds of an age gone by, but still alive within the heart of Covent Garden. City of London Cemetery and Crematorium. On the edge of Wanstead lies the City of London Cemetery and Crematorium, a vast expanse of trees, lawns, and monuments where thousands rest beneath stone. By day, it is a place of quiet reflection, but by night, one corner of the cemetery has long drawn whispers of something far stranger. Since the mid-1970s, locals have spoken of a peculiar phenomenon in the western section of the grounds. From a single tombstone, witnesses reported a brilliant orange light, emanating glowing in the dark, like a fire that never burned out. It was not the flicker of candles, nor the reflection of lamps, but a steady radiance pulsing from the stone itself. Neighbors saw it from their windows, a flame-like shimmer rising from the grave. Passers-by, curious and unnerved, entered the cemetery only to find the glow shifting, impossible to approach. Some likened it to a lantern guiding the dead, others to a warning light from beyond. No official explanation was ever found. The records mention no gas leaks, no electrical faults, no natural cause. The glow was simply there, and then, without pattern, gone again. Those who dared to draw near told of other sensations. The air grew uncomfortably warm, despite the night chill. A low humming filled their ears, fading the moment they stepped back. One man claimed that as he reached out to touch the stone, he felt a shock like static coursing through his arm. He left trembling, convinced that something alive moved beneath the soil. The story of the glowing grave has never been resolved. Decades have passed, but the tale remains repeated in hushed voices by those who walk the cemetery at dusk. Even today, some visitors insist they have seen a faint orange shimmer among the stones, as though the phenomenon endures, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself again. The City of London Cemetery is a place of remembrance, but it also harbors a riddle. What caused the light that no science could explain? Was it a natural oddity, or the restless spirit of someone who could not fade quietly into earth? The mystery remains unsolved, a strange reminder that even among the dead, some presences still find ways to be seen. The Savoy Hotel. Along the Strand, overlooking the Thames, stands the Savoy Hotel, one of London's most celebrated addresses. Its name conjures images of luxury and glamour, of famous guests and glittering halls. Yet amid its splendor, the Savoy carries a darker reputation. For in the shadows of its fifth floor, it is said a ghost still rides the lifts. The story tells of a young girl who died tragically within the hotel, her presence never leaving the building. Guests and staff alike whisper of strange encounters in the lift shafts and corridors of the upper floors. Doors open and close with no one inside. The lift halts between levels, refusing to move until a chill wind passes through the cabin. And in the mirrors, some claim to glimpse the reflection of a child, pale, wide-eyed, vanishing as soon as noticed. Housekeepers speak of toys being found in empty rooms, arranged neatly as if left by invisible hands. A guest once reported hearing a girl's laughter beside him as the lift ascended, though he was entirely alone. The operator checking the cabin found no trace of anyone else. The fifth floor seems most unsettled. Reports of cold patches, flickering lights, and sudden whispers concentrate here. One employee locking a storeroom late at night described the unmistakable feeling of a hand slipping into his own, small, soft, and icy cold. When he recoiled, the corridor was empty. Skeptics argue these are coincidences, the workings of old machinery and overactive imagination. Yet the frequency of the accounts suggests otherwise. The ghostly girl of the Savoy has become part of its legend, an uninvited resident wandering the halls of London's grandest hotel. Even among splendor, death leaves its mark. The Savoy is a place of elegance, but on the fifth floor, glamour yields to unease. Those who step into the lifts late at night sometimes emerge with a story they cannot explain, a fleeting encounter with a presence that should not exist. And so the hotel remains not only a landmark of luxury, but a reminder that even in the brightest places, shadows still endure. Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. Beside Battersea Park Road stands a place known for compassion, Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. For over a century, it has given shelter to countless animals, a refuge of care and safety. Yet even here, among barking kennels and the quiet watch of staff shadows linger that no one can quite explain. Stories tell of sudden changes in the air corridors, turning icy cold footsteps pacing behind when no one is present. The jangling of keys echoing across empty yards. Laughter light and mocking drifts through the kennels late at night, unnerving those who hear it. Dogs, usually restless, fall silent at once, as if aware of something moving just beyond human sight. One apparition has been seen more than once, an old gray-haired lady dressed plainly who smiles gently before fading from view. On one occasion, she appeared before a staff member, and while she lingered, the entire kennel of dogs went quiet, not a bark to be heard. Some believe She is none other than Mary Tealby, the founder of the home, returning to watch over the animals she devoted her life to. There are other tales too. A Victorian lady walking two dogs across the yard, her figure vanishing at the gates. Staff in recent years have admitted to a chill in certain rooms, and visitors sometimes report shadows slipping past their vision. An archivist once noted that the last recorded sightings date back to 1996 and 2005, with none in recent times. Yet the stories endure, told and retold by those who remember the uncanny calm that fell when the lady appeared. Even now, some workers say the dogs still behave oddly at night, suddenly silenced, staring into the empty air as if awaiting a familiar presence. Whether spirit guardian or fragment of memory, the figures of Battersea remain part of its story. A place built to protect life is paradoxically also a place where the dead seem to linger. The home continues its noble work, but beneath the compassion lies mystery, a reminder that love, like sorrow, can echo long after the living have passed. Paxton Tunnel. In the quiet depths of Sydenham Hill Woods lies the forgotten trace of a Victorian railway. The line once carried passengers through South London, but now the tracks are overgrown, swallowed by trees and ivy. Its tunnels, bricked up and inaccessible, sit in silence. One of them is Paxton Tunnel, a place that has become the subject of one of London's most unsettling rumours. Whispers tell of a discovery made long after the tunnel was sealed. According to the story, when explorers pried open a section, they found an abandoned carriage hidden within. Inside, seated as though awaiting a journey that never came, were skeletons dressed in full Victorian finery. Men in waistcoats and top hats, women in gowns and bonnets, all perfectly attired but reduced to bone. The tale insists they had been there for decades, trapped in darkness, their final journey unfinished. No records confirm this. No official report acknowledges such a find. Some dismiss it as folklore spun from the eerie silence of the tunnels. Yet the rumor persists, passed down among locals, each retelling giving it weight. And many who walk the paths above admit that the air around Paxton Tunnel feels different, heavy, oppressive, as if the ground itself is keeping a secret. At night, those brave enough to linger near the blocked entrance speak of sounds echoing from within. The rattle of wheels on track, the hiss of steam, faint voices carried from the dark. Others claim to hear nothing but a low moan, like wind, forcing its way through stone, though the air outside is still. One walker told of feeling compelled to press his ear against the cold brick. He swore he heard laughter, muffled but distinct, followed by a sudden knock against the other side of the wall. He fled shaken to the core. Whether the story of the skeleton carriage is truth myth or some blend of the two, Paxton Tunnel retains its hold on the imagination. It is a place sealed from view, yet alive with speculation. In the shadows of Sydenham Hill Woods, the railway has gone, but its ghosts, real or imagined, still travel on. The George. On the Strand, among the constant flow of London traffic, stands the George, a public house with a history stretching back centuries. Its beams are dark with age, its walls steeped in the voices of generations. Yet what most intrigues visitors is not its ale, nor its heritage, but the phantom said to linger in its cellars, a cavalier from England's troubled past. The apparition is described as a tall figure in 17th century dress, complete with flowing hair and plumed hat. He is said to appear most often below ground, in the cool cellar where barrels rest. Staff have spoken of turning a corner to find him standing there, his eyes fixed in silent regard, only for him to dissolve into shadow before a word can be spoken. One story, repeated for decades, tells of a group of painters refurbishing the pub in the 1970s. One of them, sent to whitewash the cellar walls, returned upstairs, pale and trembling. He insisted that a man in cavalier garb had stood watching him from the gloom, unblinking and solid as any living soul. His co-workers laughed until the landlord's wife calmly remarked that she saw the same cavalier often and thought nothing of it. For her, he was a long-established resident of the house. Accounts from recent years are fewer, but the tradition persists. A manager noted that while she had not encountered him herself, the legend remains deeply entwined with the identity of the George, and many patrons admit to feeling uneasy in the cellar as though someone unseen still keeps watch. What keeps the cavalier here? Some suggest he died violently during the Civil War, his spirit drawn back to a tavern he once knew. Others believe he was a loyal guest, forever tied to the place where he found solace. Whatever the cause, his presence has become part of the building's lore, accepted almost casually by those who work there. Today, the George serves its customers with warmth, its history visible in every timber. But beneath the laughter and chatter lies the sense that a ghostly figure still paces a silent cavalier whose watch has not ended. To step into the cellar is to step into his realm where past and present meet and where one man's restless vigil remains alive. St. Giles in the Fields. Amid the bustle of central London on St. Giles High Street stands a church often called the Poets' Church for the many writers and musicians connected to its parish. Yet St. Giles in the Fields holds a darker reputation, too whispered in hushed tones by those who have walked its gates after nightfall, for it is here that a spectral clergyman has been seen. Dressed all in black, his figure lingers near the iron gates as though standing watch. Witnesses describe him as tall, solemn, his face obscured by shadow. Unlike many apparitions, he does not drift nor fade quickly, but stands with unnerving stillness as though guarding the threshold. The most recent known sighting dates to 2004. A passerby reported halting in fear as he saw the clergyman by the gates unmoving. When he turned back moments later, the figure was gone, the street empty but for the wind. Before that, parishioners and locals alike had spoken of glimpses over the years, a fleeting glance of black robes at dusk, the weight of unseen eyes upon them as they crossed the yard. What unsettles many is the silence of the apparition. He makes no sound, delivers no message. Some say he is a former priest, bound to the church, even in death, compelled to continue his watch over the parish. Others believe he is a harbinger, his rare appearances marking times of sorrow or change. But no clear answer has ever been given, leaving only speculation and unease. The long gap since the last sighting does not erase the legend. Locals still wonder when or if the clergyman will return. Some say that on quiet nights, the air near the gates grows colder, the street lamps flicker, and the outline of robes can almost be seen against the dark. It is as though the figure waits, choosing his moments carefully, reappearing only when least expected. St. Giles in the Fields remains a place of worship and solace, but its history is layered with shadows. The silent priest at the gates may not have been seen in decades, yet his presence endures in memory. For in London, ghosts often wait, and some watches once begun are never laid down. In Ilford, on the edge of East London, stands Valentines Mansion, a red brick house built in the late 17th century. Its sweeping staircase and elegant rooms speak of refinement, yet beneath the polished wood and painted walls lies a history that has given rise to disturbing tales. The most enduring story is that of Clementina Ingleby, a woman who lived here in the 1860s. After an operation, she was said to have been left of unsound mind, her spirit wandering the house in confusion. Staff and visitors report a presence in the upper rooms, a restless energy, as though Clementina still roams the corridors, searching for something she cannot name. But hers is not the only voice said to echo within these walls. In the 1920s, tragedy struck when a mother gripped by despair smothered her twin infants. One of the babies, it is believed, still cries in the night. Visitors have reported the unmistakable sound of a child's wail drifting through the darkened halls, only for the rooms to be empty. Footsteps, too, have been heard pacing. Long after the house has closed, the creak of floorboards, betraying an unseen walker. Paranormal investigators once gathered here, determined to seek answers. During the vigil, a staff member felt her hair tugged sharply, though no one stood near. Another described the sensation of invisible hands pressing against her chest, holding her down as if to stifle her breath. A newspaper photographer present that night swore she felt fingers brushing across her face, playful and mocking, before a crushing weight pinned her in place. Terrified, she fled the room. Mists have been seen forming at doorways, lingering just long enough to suggest a figure trying to emerge. Shadows shift where there should be none, and always there is the sense of being watched, of the house holding its secrets close. Valentines Mansion today is restored, open to the public, admired for its beauty. Yet for those who have walked its staircases in silence, the splendor cannot mask the unease. Each report adds to the mystery, layering sorrow upon sorrow until the line between history and haunting grows thin. Why do the cries of children still echo here? What binds Clementina to the house after so many years? The questions remain unanswered. In Valentine's Mansion, the past has not gone quietly. It lingers unsolved, still alive in the heart of London. London's unsolved hauntings remain alive in the shadows. Which tale gripped you most? Leave a comment, like, and share this video, and subscribe to Creepy Experience for more haunted journeys.